All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 7th meeting of the Economic Matters Committee. Here as myself, along with Alderman Savage and Alderwoman Janice Alsop Johnson. So, first, can I have an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
A second.
All those in favor of the agenda? Aye. Up next, we have election of the chair of the committee. Do I have a nomination for a chair?
Yes. I would like to nominate Alderman Schandelmeyer.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I accept. Do we have any other nominations for chairs? Seeing none, all in favor of Alderman Schandelmeyer as the chair? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I am very excited to be chairing this committee again. All right. So, we have a light agenda today. ID 826, Economic Development Update. Come on up. So, I had requested that we would have a recap of a fantastic presentation that you gave during our final Economic Matters last year. Breakdown of city businesses, and you went above and beyond and actually have an updated version of that presentation. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I apparently had my mic off. So, asked you to go give a recap of the presentation that you gave during our final Economic Matters hearing during our last term. You went above and beyond and actually have updated business information for us. So I am very excited, and now I would like to turn the floor over. Oh, can you turn your mic on, please? And could you also introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, of course. So my name is Adam Stroud. I'm the Economic Development Manager. Thank you for having me here this evening. What our office was able to put together late last year was essentially permitting data. So we're leveraging the data that we have available to us to be able to draw inferences regarding businesses in the city of Annapolis. So as an update in the month of December, so just going back to October, because I know our previous meeting was early in the month, but we had 2 new businesses with 7 relocating. Now that's relocating, expanding, or change of ownership, which resulted in 26 full-time employees and 16 part-time employees. So one thing of note in December, I think that's particularly interesting, is that one employer expanded their operations in the city of Annapolis, adding 40 new full-time employees. That's the second largest event of the year, the first being in February, where you had an employer enter the city and add 73 employees. So, So that's encouraging to see. Those are the type of numbers that we hope to see more of. One, and just I don't know how much I should go over from before, but just as a quick anomaly here, you see in September there were 200 part-time employees added, but what actually happened was that there was a change in ownership in a large employer. So that was logged in the data. That's essentially noise. I still logged it, but it's in this report, but it's worth mentioning and it's worth explaining. So that's not actually the case. So going down here, this is again a similar extrapolation. It's the same extrapolation, just with that I showed in the last meeting, just with updated data here. The observations that I made prior haven't really changed. That Ward 6, there had only been one. You can see here one business that. This is, by the way, 3 years of permitting data. So I should make that point. I'm sorry. So up here we do have the past 6 months, whereas here we have all 3 years of permitting data. This is from 2023 to 2025, as the data has been logged in the system. So the one business in Ward 6 was actually the Head Start program through the YMCA. So it's interesting to make these observations. So look at the data and make these observations because it helps inform us about the different wards, about the potential for additional commercial development, and also just about development priorities moving forward. Right? Where can we see more commercial, or maybe where can we grow employment base? So it helps us to make those types of informed decisions when we see what's actually happening within the wards themselves. So another interesting, I don't know how much value there is to it, but it's still interesting to see that, in Ward 1 has the largest amount of square footage that had been permitted over the past 3 years. However, if you look at Ward 3 has the largest footprint, right? The average square foot per permitted entity. So you could make the assumption that maybe the businesses might be bigger in Ward 3, but it's worth looking into. It's worth exploring further, and that's what data does. It allows us to find different trends and explore them, and develop the strategies around that. So, and then finally, the types of the businesses that have been permitted. So I'm not going to go through all of these. You should have this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But you can see that as one of the largest permitted entities, professional offices, office business, professional, nonprofit. So essentially, you're looking at services. Annapolis's economy. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Is the economic engine's generally the service sector, which it is for most of the country, right? 80% is the figure that's always thrown around. 80% of the U.S. economy is based on services, and you look at the city of Annapolis based on permitted entities in the past 3 years, it fits that trend. So, I invite any questions on this. It's similar to the other month, but please.
So you had said that one new business had added 43 new jobs?
40 new jobs, yes.
40 new jobs, and that was one individual business, correct?
That was an expansion of an existing business, yes.
Do you know the business?
Yes, so that was Black Market Bakers, their expansion on West Street. So that, and the new business unit that they've stood up on West Street is actually a large commercial kitchen. They do I would even posit that it's almost industrial scale kitchen. So it tracks as to why they would have that type of employment, because when you're putting out that much product, you have multiple shifts, and so that's that again. But it reflects the important nature of the service industry here in the city of Annapolis. So,
Do any of my colleagues have any questions? Alderman Savage?
So important first question is, how did you like the whole Midnight Madness, period of economic activity and vitality downtown?
Yes. So I was kind of ill for most of the month of December. No. I'm still getting over a few. So I did have an opportunity on the last night when I was feeling up to it to go out, and I spent most of the time on Inner West Street, and it was very vibrant. My wife and I were out until maybe around 11 o'clock. But it's a benchmark event during the year for the city of Annapolis. It caps off a wonderful fall and winter season, it's something that can continue to grow and evolve. So yeah, it was interesting to see that this year, especially, there was so much collaboration between the different business associations, and that's something I would like to see continue to grow. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good to hear. So as far as like when we have businesses leave, could be downtown, could be elsewhere. Have you ever done any kind of like exit interview kind of things just to find out the reasons why they left? Anything on the city's end that we can improve?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's we don't have a mechanism that can alert us when a business, so unlike permitting, right? Businesses need to apply for a permit to be able to become operational. They use an occupancy permit, among others. So we have that data. I get an alert every time a commercial permit is submitted within the system, so I know what's coming down the pipeline. But when a business closes, it's not required to disclose that to the city in any way. So a lot of times we learn after the fact. When it's a corporate entity, I think one most recently that's high profile on Main Street's Fat Face, right? It can become that much more difficult to follow up because now you're dealing with layers of complexity because the home office isn't here. You can't go to somebody and knock on their door and say, I'd like to talk about what happened. You're dealing with an entity that could, in this case, even be in a different country. So what we hope to do now, and what I'm working on, is developing an automated response to businesses as they apply to permits. It's something that I'm working on internally, so that way they know that we exist. So we can get to them before that happens, before they close. They know we're here. We can run some sort of intervention and see if there's a way to ensure that business remains viable in the city of Annapolis. So unfortunately, at this moment, we don't have a means to act in real time as a business closes, because we hear about it oftentimes after the fact as everybody else. But when that business is struggling and needs support, that's when they come to us, and that's where we can catch them and hopefully stop that attrition in the first place. And if we can't, if it's out of our hands for whatever reason, then at least we know that there's an opportunity to follow up with them and ask those types of questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, if you want me to put a pin in this, and just let me know, happy to do so. But since you mentioned permitting, I'm curious, does your office act as, did you act as an advocate for and to help assist new businesses? But what about existing businesses? Like if they have, if ones are having, I don't know, if what they perceive as a difficulty internally with maybe a permit delay or some other disagreement with staff, is that something that your office assists with, or does that kind of fall outside of your
That's
realm?
a large portion of what we do, in fact, yes.
Okay.
Whether it's a new business or an existing business that's applying for a permit that needs some either facilitation. A lot of it's facilitation. Our office doesn't have the ability to review anything on its own. And I wouldn't necessarily frame it as dispute, but sometimes because for a city the size of Annapolis, with the amount of development that just organically occurs, the staff on the permitting side can get overwhelmed, right? They work very quickly. You know, as a permit gets assigned, I don't want to speak for them, and that's not what I'm here to do. But as they get assigned, they generally have a 2-week window. So what we do is that when sometimes there are complexities or other issues that require an internal voice to help move things along, that's what we do. So we act as that internal liaison. We act as that advocate, and we help push the process along when we can. Okay. It's very common, yeah.
And if there are processes that you see that you may be familiar with as being typical barriers to businesses, I think we would definitely love to hear about them. You know, one thing at the top of my mind is I know our special exception process can be a bit burdensome as far as time commitment, but also just the resources, the planning, the legal fees that have to go into that. And I think we try to be very cognizant, especially the chair, but I think the rest of us aren't always necessarily cued in on some of the impact that may have on small businesses. I think we all want to have and support small local business as opposed to like a big chain, restaurant or whatever business, chain restaurant. And so I think we need to make sure our processes support and encourage those local businesses. And so just to say that, because I know that's at the top of some of our minds as far as that special exception process, but just as an example of the things we might want to.
And I'm going to piggyback off of my colleague's commentary. I think that some of not your part of the Department of Planning and Zoning, but there are others who can use their own biases and opinions to come up with arbitrary rulings and ideas on what is best for a small business when the small business owner knows what has worked and has created a really good thing for Annapolis. And oftentimes when the city puts some of these arbitrary guidelines down, it ends up harming our local owners and favoring big out-of-towners. I like to point to, there's a reason why Atlas Restaurant Group is the only one that seems to be opening up lots of new businesses in our downtown area and not local mom and pop shops. That's not me criticizing the Atlas Restaurant Group, but it is me pointing out a larger outside entity is able to navigate our process, while someone who lives in the city of Annapolis may not have those same resources to wait it out.
So, I mean, on your first point regarding special exception, unfortunately, I'm not able to speak confidently on that because I haven't been party to that process yet.
Okay.
Most of what I've been doing has to do with fairly mundane, just businesses that don't even know how to start the process. And that's where we hold their hand. We walk them through it. We make sure they sign up for a pre-application meeting. But what's very important is for them to even understand what's required for that pre-application meeting. They can't go in there empty-handed. So a lot of it is, understanding what the unknown unknowns are. They don't know what they don't know yet, and that's what we do. Is we help them understand what they need to be able to get in front of, whether it's site plan review or whether it's a permitting issue, whatever it might be. They need to know what they need to submit. So that's part of the challenge there. Regarding the ease of permitting for larger entities that they have more capital, therefore they can hire, they can get more technical assistance, they can hire more expertise versus, smaller businesses. I take the mindset of, almost I don't kind of quote other economists, but the economist Jeffrey Sachs, he said, you should take a clinician's approach. Each one is different, right? So that's kind of how I look at it. Sometimes some businesses need to be in triage and pushed up with others because of what's happening for them, particularly with the permitting process. Hey, I've been stuck in limbo for 3 months because there's been a disconnect somewhere and we need to get open now, right? We need to get open. We're paying bills. And most of the times it's a small business. We want to make sure that they receive the attention that they deserve and get their permitting. It's a lot of times once we intervene, it moves very quickly because it is oftentimes a communication error, and we can facilitate that quickly. But it doesn't. I'll spend as much time as I need to with any business, regardless of its size, to make sure that it gets the permits that it needs to become operational and operate safely within the city of Annapolis. So now to do that at scale, that's where it gets difficult. And that's what we're trying to do right now in sort of reorienting our office. How can we do that? How can we provide that personal approach, but do it in a way that's scalable? So that way we can pursue other initiatives as well to help diversify the economy and help grow the quality of life here within Annapolis.
So is it kind of typical? Because I've heard anecdotally just about some business. We'll point at some businesses, just for example, downtown, one of the new sandwich shops, that it took them a very long time to open. And again, anecdotally, people like to blame the city for that. And maybe it is, but do you have any information? Is that really a city-driven delay, or is that an applicant delay? Well, it's hard to say on.
No, I'm just. I want to be careful because I don't want to use everything that we do is confidential, right? Which is why I was a little hesitant to even mention that it was Black Market Bakers that had the expansion, but they've been celebrating it, and it is something to celebrate and to champion. So I don't want to, again, have any actual examples and expose anybody because I want our businesses in the city to feel confident that they can come to us. Having said that, to your question, there's just like anything else, there are very easy permit applications that go through. And my director, Chris Jakubiak, can tell you some great success stories. And then once in a while, you do have issues where, because it might be a complex scenario, and the way that the code is written makes it somewhat more difficult to find the right permit or to understand the right process. So I just want to be clear that everybody in the department, everybody wants to see these applicants get their permits in a timely manner, but everybody's following the code, right? It all goes back to the code. So I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer for you right now, but the best that we can do in economic development is to ensure that each business gets the attention that they need to get through. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, and that gets to one of my points is I think we would love to know when the code is hindering, right? But in any case, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Savage. And Alderman Osip Johnson?
I just want to ask, what causes a business to close like overnight? You know, because I have noticed a lot of business. Like I went to a location one evening, and the next day I was going back and it was closed. I was like, "Wow, what caused that?"
Yeah.
And people were parking, and they were very upset that it was closed. I was upset, and I always wonder what causes a building to close overnight.
Well, I don't think it's any one. It could be many. Yeah, it could be many things. Could be mismanagement. Could be location. Could be an issue with marketing. Could be competition. I mean, there are many factors that put pressure on a business. Could be how they're leveraged, right? How much debt do they have? Cash flow is always going to be what closes a business. They're not making enough money. Not enough revenue as it pertains to how much debt that they might have, right? How much debt and other operating expenses. So it's never really one issue or one thing. It could be a variety, it could be many, could be an individual one, but out of that larger bucket. But a lot of times it always comes back to cash flow. It could be personal, right? Maybe something maybe it was a family business and the proprietor might have passed away, and the heirs and assigns, right? Could be the children decide we don't want to run steam cleaners or so.
So that is allowed to just close like that without find the people in the areas. I mean, this was a restaurant that everybody was going to.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't speak on the legalities of how but businesses are shuttered.
Worked in restaurants, they keep that close to the chest so the staff don't.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why they don't advertise.
Okay. Just always wonder about that.
Yeah.
There's some sticky fingered service out there.
You're very welcome.
All right. Any further questions? Nope. All right. So I believe you have some City Dock business updates. Thank you.
All right. So I want to give everybody an update of. So you may have heard there's been some a little bit of press around this, but there's also been updates to the city's webpage. The construction fence, and I wanted to take the opportunity here to explain the situation and what we've done so far. So the construction fencing on the City Dock is scheduled to expand from Craig Street, where it currently is, down Dock Street, which will take up, I believe, roughly 50 parking spaces. And that will be used for, and this is not a technical, by the way, this is just from what I recall from our conversations, which will be used from like a materials laydown area. So while there won't be any construction occurring in that corridor, for the remainder of the phase one of the project, which schedule right now goes out until the summer of 2027. So the remainder of phase one, that will be occupied as a materials laydown area. Therefore, Dock Street will effectively become a one-way street. So I don't know if this is news to you. I hope this isn't news to you tonight. I just want to, good. Then I'm just giving you a background on that, on what is occurring. So that way you understand what our office, in partnership with Public Information Office, has done to mitigate this in the short term. We have longer term planning that we're working on as well. But so we were told about this on December 17th. The initial date for the expansion was scheduled for January 4th. We were able to convince the contractor to extend it another 2 weeks, so we had time to plan, as well as to alert the businesses on Dock Street so that they were aware of this change. On that was a Wednesday, so the next day, Thursday, I organized meetings with all the businesses along Dock Street so that I could explain to them in person what would be occurring. That Friday, I met with all the businesses and I documented all the feedback, concerns, questions, suggestions, recommendations. All of that was documented. And we had some great response. Obviously, the businesses were very concerned about this and how it would affect foot traffic, right? You have I believe an 8-foot construction fence, but I can't remember if it's 6 or 8, so I do apologize. Foot construction fence occupying that space. So we wanted to ensure that we were responsive to those needs. So what we've done immediately with through the Public Information Office, I should say, is that we've essentially come to the conclusion that we need a dedicated campaign to inform the public that Dock Street is in fact open during construction. The fence there might convince visitors or residents otherwise, so we need to have a messaging campaign around still going to Dock Street when it's still there. You can go, you can visit the businesses, you can get to the Naval Academy through the Berry Gate going up Craig Street. So I want to share with you some of the initial signage. So this is everything I'm sharing with you today has already been produced. We have it. We're ready to deploy it on day one, on January 19th, when the fence goes up. So this first item here is a sandwich board that we're going to be placing at the at the entrance of Dock Street, where you have Randall and Dock Street, to draw foot traffic, especially foot traffic looking to visit the Naval Academy, go through Dock Street, up Craig, and use the Berry Gate. Since there's major assets being taken offline in the form of City Dock, the Naval Academy is still there. We want to capture some of that foot traffic for Dock Street. So you can, just to get an idea here, this is sort of the branding that we're using for the overarching campaign. The assets have already been created, so we're repurposing what was done prior so that we have a unified visual identity for this as we build upon it. So following signage here is construction fence signage. So again, this was all, Mitchell developed all of this. She just asked for my opinion, which I'm not sure how much that's worth, but I gave it to her. And you can see she did a wonderful job. She did an amazing job with this. As you can see, there are QR codes in the corner, so that'll push traffic back to the City Dock website where they can learn more about the project. Visitors and residents who capture it can learn more about the project, learn more about the businesses there, and just City Dock in general. So these will go along the construction fencing on the north side facing the businesses. So that way it'll provide some color and some life. It's not just going to be a silt fence blocking the view. So at the very least, there are renderings of the project that can maybe draw curious visitors down to see what's this going to look like in a few years and help visualize. And then finally, parking wayfinding. So knowing that one of the big concerns that the businesses had, going back up to the initial image here, was the loss of parking, not only for their customers, but their employees themselves. They have, they're coming from other areas. So to mitigate, at least on the part of visitors not having parking, right, who are coming from outside of the city of Annapolis, hoping to enjoy downtown, we wanted to make sure there are ample signs directing people back to the Hillman Garage, which was, again, built for that purpose. So we're using the same branding campaign, same visual identity here, and these will be placed downtown. So you can see this one circles back around. This will be placed at the circle of Compromise Street. One side will be this will be the front side here, showing people where the garage is through the circle. And then if they miss the garage for whatever reason or coming back down Green Street, this will show them how to get back to the garage. And then this one, I believe, will be on Randall, showing people how to get to the garage coming down Randall from Prince George. So a few other items that of note. So there was an extensive list of questions that were generated by the businesses, both for the city of Annapolis, for the contractor. Those are being circulated. The city and Whiting Turner are working to answer those, to provide provide responses to the businesses as to why this is occurring. Importantly, all the stakeholders in Dock Street are being included in regular communications. I have I have multiple email threads with everybody, and the list is growing. Right, we're including not even just the businesses, but we want to ensure Visit Annapolis is there. Right, they have the visitor center, the mobile visitor center right now, but any other stakeholders that want to be a part of that, we're bringing them in so they feel included, not only in the communications, but in parts of the decision making, such as the content of the signage. We made sure to share that with everybody. I put out a survey to understand, because we have limited time and resources, put out a survey of different options of what we can do right now prior to the fence being extended. And from that feedback, we were able to select those items that seemed most impactful to all the respondents. The direction of the street will be coming north. If you go north on Randall, then you take a right on Dock Street. So now you're going west on Dock Street, one way. And then you take a left on Craig, that's one way. And then another left on Prince George, that's one way. So there was some question on which direction would be better. The businesses made it clear they preferred that schematic. That would be better for them. And as such, the parking that's existing there will be restriped. The Public Works is committed to restriping the parking so that it goes head in, as well as to restripe the parallel parking so it's clear which direction cars would need to park, given the change in direction of the street. So again, that came directly from the businesses. We're attempting to respond as best we can in getting them those items that we can do unilaterally. And that's where we are right now. So this will continue. We'll continue to work. This is essentially the base of a larger strategy of including all these businesses in mitigating the construction that's occurring there. So I open up to questions from the committee. Yes.
So do you have is there a way for frequent communication from the businesses if they feel like there's something has come up that we didn't foresee in advance, which we cannot foresee everything in advance.
Right.
We're not omnipotent.
Yeah.
So like, let's say something comes up like, hey, we need to change the signage because this is proving ineffective.
Yeah.
What's our plan of attack then?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I have what I call stakeholders list. It's a comprehensive contact list of multiple contacts through all the different businesses, or like I mentioned, Visit Annapolis is on there as well. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm sending out an email. Not as effective as I like, but I'm looking at other solutions on how we can have real-time responses. So like more digital messaging systems. So
will there be periodic like in-person meetings, periodic phone call, like conference calls, or is it they have my number if they need anything type of situation?
So the in-person meet I had, based on the responses that I've had, many of the businesses found those to be ineffectual.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to have them, and I can suggest them when I feel that is prudent. But for right now, the cadence that we have via email and text message and cell, they all have my cell number. They could call me. Some text me. We go back. So it's more of a case by case basis again. But I make sure to include everybody when it's decision making time.
I'm not going to ask you to do a thing that the businesses are finding to be ineffectual just to satisfy a checklist. If what's working is working, let's stick with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Alderman Savage?
I'll go after.
Alderman Alsop Johnson, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah. So you answered. So it's going to be in place till summer 27. Is Dock Street actually going to be one way, or were you just?
That's the
using it as
plan.
a-
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is.
It will need to be
It's-
one way. Yeah.
So it's going one way down City Dock to the east,
Correct. Well, going to the west,
going west.
or west. I'm sorry. From the west going east. From west
Going
west to
east.
east. Yes. You're yes.
Going east,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah. Going
Going
east. Yes,
down-
I'm sorry.
City Dock. So it's going
towards
east,
City Dock,
and then
right.
it would make what's that?
Craig
So go
Street,
up
left
Craig-
on
okay.
Craig. Yep.
Okay. And looks like there's going to be one row of parking still
Correct.
on Dock Street.
Yes.
How many spots?
I believe it's like 12. I believe it's 12, maybe. It's hard for me to
I don't-
see.
I don't know
but
the
it's,
exact- that's
let's just say a
approximate
baker's
fine.
dozen, right? Somewhere maybe around 12, between 12 and
That's fine.
14. Well, and then plus the parallel parking as well.
So I'm glad to hear the businesses are concerned about foot traffic. I'm going to throw something out there because when I was listening to you, like, why don't we just, that's what their concern is, and I love it because I want more foot traffic. Why don't we just close down Dock Street to cars, close down Craig Street to cars, and just pedestrianize the whole thing, bring in some kind of amenities like, I don't know, anything, games, fire pits, anything, get people down there to hang out to get more traffic. And because that would visually open it up, we could put in more planters down there to get some little trees or something. That seems like a more compelling way to bring people down there because we really need to save 14 parking spaces just for, because most of the businesses, when I was looking at Google Maps, most of them are restaurants.
Restaurants. Yeah.
I mean, look what we could do. If we do that, we could have outdoor dining down there. Imagine that, right? I mean, that would also bring quite a bit of foot traffic for the businesses. And I know it's different for retail stores. My understanding, it's a little different for retail stores, and that I think they do have a perception that they need the parking. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you're hearing otherwise, but I mean, are you hearing otherwise, like from the retail stores?
So it was pretty universal that one of the largest concerns was the loss of parking from the businesses. That, not that I can't bring your suggestion to them, I'm more than happy to do that, but just from the qualitative data that I gathered, the loss of the parking was a serious concern, which is why the parking signage that we're working, not only the parking signage that we have here that's sort of branded, but we're also collaborating with Public Works to put actual directional signs to the parking garage
Yeah.
as a means to
And that's
help.
all
Yep.
good. We need to be doing that ultimately. But were you hearing that from all businesses there? Because it would surprise me just because, well, I guess on the one hand it surprises me, on the other hand it doesn't, because I know American businesses are just so R-oriented. It's shameful. But I bring, for example, I think it was at this committee when we were talking with the businesses on Market Street, the restaurants.
Yeah.
And they said, we don't need parking.
Mhm.
Our businesses are flourishing without this parking here. We want to keep using it for outdoor dining.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet that those restaurant owners would help outreach to those other restaurants to say, look, this is going to be a boon for you. Maybe we could even we could probably at least get the restaurants on board. But the retail businesses might be a different story, but maybe there are other things jurisdictions have done around the world to help, like retail specific.
Yeah.
But I just think pedestrianization, like why would we're about to go into we're in the middle of winter, but before we know it, we're going to be going into the spring and summer. Like this would be a phenomenal opportunity to actually try an outdoor dining experiment down here. And I mean, to your point, that's exactly why we built the garage, is to have offload the parking from City Dock.
Yeah.
And we have every excuse here to kind of try it. I don't know, but there's another idea would be, if people really need parking down there, is you could still close pedestrianized Dock Street, but then keep Craig Street make Craig Street into make that into a little parking lot. People park in and do diagonal parking and park, but then you'd still have the pedestrianization out front of the city dock, which ultimately is what we want to, I think some of us would do anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there are a couple different ways to possibly do it. And I think, you know, I don't know, rather than before we spend all this time on, well, we're probably going to do it anyway on signs, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think outside. Is that crazy?
I think right now with the trains already left the station on the city dock plan and trying to
Yeah.
radically redesign things is,
No, this is just for the construction though.
yeah. I think folks are a little nervous, and let's get this part done first before we have some fun playing.
So the eventually Dock Street will be taken up by construction. So for phase 2, it'll from curb to curb, it will be construction fencing. So there will be, yeah. So when phase 2 goes underway, the construction fencing that is there now will engulf all of Dock Street. So there will be, but the presumption is that the city dock project would be phase 1 would be completed, and you have a park. You have a reason for people to go down the sidewalk, go down the promenade. It pulls them down that way.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, because I mean, you said this is going to be, let's face it, government schedules. Although we did meet the schedule, I think, for the parking garage, but
We did. Whitey Turner was.
they were good.
Yeah.
But more often than not, I would say government work often runs over. And that's, but, you know, regardless, summer of 27, I don't know if that's going to be middle of summer, end of summer. It could be essentially 2 summers that we would have an opportunity to kind of, you know, open the space up and do something more creative with it.
Well, if you have any ideas or proposals, I'm more than happy to share them with the businesses there to see, kind of gauge their response. I know one thing that they did mention was that they love to see some programming down that way to bring more people down. So
yeah, that'd be great, but we can't have it be a road
right
to and parking lot to have a program, and that's where, you know, I get it, but ultimately it's a public street, public right of way. It is not owned by the businesses,
right.
And I mean, regardless, I'll talk to my Ward 1 colleague about it.
Sure, yeah,
he'd be the one to push this or not. But anyway, just popped in my head. Thank you.
Yeah.
It might also be fun to, like, we could get somebody to do a conceptual sketch of and bring it to the businesses to say, look, here's your outdoor, because all the businesses are right next to each other. They could have a giant outdoor dining area, and then maybe we could do a sketch for some other kind of. Here's where we can get people to hang out.
Yeah.
With a couple of I don't know, bring in a fountain or something.
Maybe
something
stage
to get people
stage,
a
perhaps.
Stage.
Yeah, platform.
And that would bring in the foot traffic for the retail store, right?
So the retail side, you have. So if you look at the businesses, so you have Admiral's Cup, which is, you know, it's not open yet. It's going through process to get its permits and under construction. But so Admiral's Cup, Dock Street, Armadillos. So the first 3 are all, you know, like food service essentially.
Yeah.
And then you have Storm Brothers, again food service. Biddy and Bo's, Blowfish Poke,
Pips,
food service, Eagle Souvenir, Pips, and then you have Harbor Square, which then so Eagle Souvenirs retail, like more like retail goods, and then Harbor Square's retail, Annapolis Marine Art, and that's retail. Sophie's Crepes, food service, Latitude 38, and then you have a new firm that just moved in next to Latitude 38. That's a wealth management company. So to your point, most of what's there is indeed restaurants or food service, more experiential types of businesses. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll talk more with the city manager about it tomorrow. Thanks.
Any further questions? Seeing none. All right. Well, thank you so much for this fantastic presentation, and we look forward to working with you during this term. And I guess for good of the order questions, you wouldn't happen to have any updates on how our maritime apprenticeship program's going, would you?
I don't have, unfortunately, no. I have been very involved with working on the city dock for the past few weeks. That's Hope's realm. I can ask her tomorrow. She's out today, and see if I can get some updates for you.
That sounds great.
But from last I heard, they already had one apprentice going through it, or that was selected and is going through the program. So they moved pretty quickly on that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I am very excited for the continued success.
Yeah.
So, folks, seeing no other questions for the good of the order on this ID, let us move on to our final item, which is ending the meeting.
I think so.
So, do we have anything else for the good of the order for the rest of this meeting?
No, sir.
Seeing none, I would just like to say that I am very excited to be working with you all. Last year, we accomplished some really remarkable, innovative things with this committee, and I am quite excited to keep going on that streak. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.